It's California edition. We're in Sacramento, the state's capital. I'm Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Brian Dahle. He is a member of the California State Assembly, representing beautiful North State, California, which right now is at risk for some serious forest fires as a result of the drought. You've taught me a lot about North State, and I want you to explain for our viewers how our current policy as it relates to forests may actually be counterproductive in your mind.
Well, let me talk to you about AB 32, which is the Pavley bill, the global warming bill.
Right.
And so what I want to talk to you about is the forest is not calculated in our carbon footprint. So we've had the Smokey the Bear campaign, which we've talked about before,
right.
75 years of stopping forest fire.
And that's the key, is that we've been so focused on stopping forest fires that we have overgrowth. And when we do have a forest fire,
it emits carbon.
Huge
amounts of carbon. So the Air Resources Board is supposed to track carbon, and they don't even take that into account into our AB 32 emissions. So what I'm asking the Air Resource Board, have been asking, is that we calculate that in, because carbon output is carbon output, no matter if it's from your car or from your solid waste dump, or whether it's from the forest.
And why do you believe this is critical? Why is this important?
Because I think if we're really going to talk about climate change and we're going to talk about our impact on the environment, then we ought to put count everything as the emissions come out, and then figure out how we're going to attack it. So we've done there's been a lot of work on regulating commercial vehicles,
right.
Cars, trucks, even down to lawnmowers and weed eaters and
sure.
your barbecue.
Right.
So what we don't calculate is the natural effects or our lack of doing forest management and the emissions that come out of forests. So I'm asking the Air Resources Board to look at that and put that into the equation, because it's carbon output.
So does it beg the question about our forestry policy? Should we look at our policy of stop all forest fires at all costs?
Right now we need to stop all forest fires at whatever resources we have available, because the forest is not in a state where it can take fire, meaning that it's overgrown, and we have the rim fires where it's catastrophic. It burns so hot and intense that it ruins the natural landscape. Before man was here, lightning and the Native Americans, quite frankly, managed the forest with fire. They let it burn. It was low, slow, and intense fires that crept through the forest, not the catastrophic events we have now. And so we need to get the forest back into shape by mechanically thinning that or opening up the canopies.
Is that controversial?
That's the controversial part right there, is that some think we shouldn't mess with it, but we have messed with it by stopping fire. So I believe that we should thin the forest and then allow fire to do what it's supposed to do. And when a fire starts, when the forest is in shape to take fire, allow the fire to burn, and it does the weeding for you, or in my case as a farmer.
And how does it extinguish in those circumstances?
Well, we would have to, obviously, because there's people that live in the forest.
Sure.
Now we'd have to protect those, but the first step is to put out fires right now, but go in and manually open the forest up and let the canopy get open, and so we can let fire naturally take.
So what has CARB said about your proposal?
So we had a hearing a couple of weeks ago, or actually been a month ago, and I mentioned it to Mary Nichols, and she,
Sheriff CARB.
Yep, she basically said, yes, we want to work on that with you. So then there's a 5-year scoping period. I submitted comments to that scoping period.
Yes, you did. I read that document, single page, 5 pages long.
And then that's what we'll start the dialogue, and we should talk about it. And I think that they're interested in it too. So I think the timing is right. We have had a lot of fires, and we should address those issues and talk about our carbon.
Right. When we come back, I want to talk about a bill you have going through. It's the Renewable Energy Diversity Bill. For our viewers on HLN, thanks for joining us. For our other viewers, we'll be right back. So, sir, you have submitted a bill. It is really quite compelling and a bit dense, but I think important. And it deals with how we adopt new renewable resources. And when we're considering the cost for renewable resources, whether we consider the integration cost, the upfront cost, what is the law right now?
So we have, let me tell you what my bill does.
Go.
And I'll put it in a simple form.
Please.
The bill basically tells the PUC to analyze the integration cost of renewables. all renewables. That's wind, solar, geothermal, biomass, thermal.
Whatever it
Yeah,
is, there's a lot.
Anything that's qualified for renewables, to analyze the integration costs. So when the utilities are putting their renewable portfolio standards together, they will. It's an even playing field. It levels the playing field out so that the 24/7 guys. So I put it to you like this: wind generates electricity when the wind's blowing. Solar generates electricity when the sun's out. And when those two things aren't there, we have to have something that backfills. So we do have some renewable energy that's 24/7. For example, biomass or geothermal is there all day long. So some of those existing plants that were in use don't get the same benefit as some of the other ones. So we're asking the PUC to take the integration costs so that we can level the playing field so that everybody's on the same page.
As the law is right now, as I understand it, right now, integration costs are slated at 0. So what you're looking to do, as I understand it, is even though geothermal and biomass may have higher integration costs, like you said, they are 24/7, and so it's not fair to zero them out when you consider that solar and wind, for example, don't operate 24/7.
Exactly. You nailed it. I can put it, that's as simple as it gets. And I'm not opposed to solar. I'm not opposed to wind. But I think we have to level the playing field so that we have those. And the other beautiful thing about the biomass and those plants that are existing, they pay property tax. They're jobs. I mean, the biomass plants in my district that are shutting down, I'm losing jobs. And I'm competing against those integration costs for the other ones. So the idea is to level the playing field.
The bill's complicated, understandably. How do you get it to a place where colleagues that may not have these biomass factories in their district understand the importance of it?
Their utilities will be bidding. They have to meet the renewable portfolio standards that are set by the state, which was 20 by 20.
Right.
And now it's 33, and it's going to continue to go up. I mean, that's the goal, is to get us out of our, we want renewables. So with that being said, it's going to impact them because it's going to cheapen it up.
I got to speak with you about the drought, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Your community, no doubt, is ground zero for the drought. Beautiful North State. How is your community doing? How is everyone faring?
Like I said before, no matter what happens with a water bond today, we need rain.
Right.
At the end of the day, nothing matters. We need rain, and I tell you, it's warm right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to be in for a tough haul, no doubt. Definitely in August and September. Fire is going to be a big issue. We need to gear up, and we need to put those fires out as soon as they start. There's no way around it.
But a bond may come as we speak today. We're looking toward a bond. It appears that the Democrats and Republicans are coming to some consensus, even on surface storage, let alone groundwater storage. Or am I too optimistic?
No, I think you're absolutely spot on. I believe that there is going to be a bipartisan bill that comes forward, and I think that the time is right. If there is a time to pass a bond in a drought, it's probably the best time. We need continuous appropriations. We need storage. We need some things that are deal breakers for. But I think both sides are in.
Right, that's the key.
I think both sides are saying, hey, we need to address some of these issues for long-term infrastructure needs for California.
Storage obviously is the big one,
Yeah.
especially surface storage.
Right.
You know, for Democrats, that's where they can get a little queasy. But even Democrats have surface storage in their bond. Is it enough?
All three bonds that are
Kind of floating.
moving forward all have storage, surface storage,
Right.
and have continuous appropriations.
And,
So
and explain that's the key, the continuous
Continuous
appropriation.
appropriation means that if the bonds pass, you have to use that money for storage. Can't be carved out and taken somewhere else.
So you think the voters are ready?
I think so. I think you'll really see it, later in the year and this drought's cranking up. I mean, and we've exhausted our groundwater. We're over pumping our groundwater
know
too.
that.
That's for another.
Yeah, no doubt.
interview.
You'll come back.
Yeah.
His name is Brian Dahle, member of the California State Assembly. My name is Brad Pomerance. I'm in Sacramento, and this is California Edition.